When I came in earlier today, somebody asked me if I knew Jesus. I said, well, yes, I do, and I know his mother as well. Right next door to the house that I lived in a number of years ago, there was a huge tree that shot up well above the third story of the house. And I noticed a curious thing. I'm not well acquainted with trees. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. I saw one once, as I remember. It may have died by now, but this was a tree in Michigan where I live, and I looked up at the top of this tree, and I saw that part of it was blooming and part of it was dead. So a friend suggested that I call a tree doctor. Who knew? From tree doctors. And he came and he examined the bark, he examined the roots, he examined some of the dead leaves, and he came up on the porch and he said, I'm sorry, Father, the tree is dead. You have to take it down. I said, how can the tree be dead? Half of it's blooming. He said, it's an illusion. The sap is still running through the tree, but the roots are dead. In effect, the tree is living off of its past life. And I think sometimes about America when I think about that. But I don't believe that our roots need die. I believe that they can be revivified. I think we can save America, and if we save America, we will do so by tending to the roots. And what is the root of the American concept? It's a very ancient root. It was not invented by Americans. It was discovered by Americans. That root goes back to biblical times. It understands that the dignity of the human person is part and parcel of who the human person is. That human beings, the concept of who human beings are is that we are unrepeatable, that we possess a dignity that comes from outside of the human circumstance, outside of society, that our rights inhere not by virtue of society, but are merely recognized by just societies. The dignity of the human person, this Judeo-Christian understanding of anthropology, is at the root of this freest, most prosperous, most progressive, most liberal in the right understanding of that word experiment in human society that the world has ever seen. C.S. Lewis expresses this Judeo-Christian anthropology beautifully in one of his essays when he said that you have never met a mere mortal. Everyone with whom you have ever come in contact, everyone you have ever loved or hated, every shop girl from whom you have ever purchased anything, is either an immortal splendor or an everlasting horror. But you have never met a mere mortal. And then Lewis went on to say that the most sacred thing that presents itself to our senses next to our neighbor, the most sacred thing is our neighbor. The American experiment formed a set of institutions that recognize this dignity of the human person. And the Judeo-Christian understanding of this anthropology is what enabled us to build the institutions of private property, contract, law, the university, the hospital, institutions of charity and international charity that served people not because they were believers, but because we are believers. And all of this is threatened. All of this is being threatened by an anti-anthropology because it fails to understand that we are immortal splendors, that treats people just as though they were material objects without a destiny beyond this world. If freedom is lost on our watch, if the end of freedom comes about in our epoch, it will be because we have forgotten what the end of freedom really is. The true telos of freedom is not to be found in an empty vacuum. The orientation of freedom is the truth of who we are in our immortal dignity, made in the image and likeness of God, each of us unrepeatable, from the moment of our conception until our natural death, each of us possessing a destiny beyond this world. And so to those who advocate a kind of class warfare and class conflict, we say with Mother Teresa, we do not believe in class conflict or warfare. We believe rather in class encounter, where the rich save the poor and the poor save the rich. Thank you very much.